Friday, September 20th, 2024. There's a lot to cover today. All right. So, Mark Robinson, who's the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina and currently running for governor as a Republican, uh, it, CNN alleges that he was doing some commenting on a porn site called Black Africa or Nude Africa or something. Nude Africa, I think. Anyway, um, he's denying any of this happened. He keeps saying we. This is not us. We didn't do this. I don't know who the we are. I guess the royal we. But the the evidence shows that from CNN that they've tied all of this and this screen name persona to a specific email address that is still an active email address under his control. So it's pretty, I don't think anyone went back in time and used his email address, but so he apparently was really big on. He admitted that he really enjoyed the transgender porn. This is a guy who um, has said just ridiculous, awful things about the transgender community. And at one point, I'm sort of paraphrasing. He said, I'll be damned if somebody who goes out on a Friday night as a man decides on Saturday he's going to be a woman and gets to go into the woman's room and spy on our women. Um, and because they don't understand that that's not what being trans is. They think of it in those terms. It's because that's what they want to do. He actually admitted in one of these sort of chat rooms that in school he found a vent that led into the girls' showers, and he would go and stare through the vent and spy as a peeping tom at the girls taking showers, which I think is a crime. Um, and he said he's a black Nazi, that he wanted to bring back slavery. I don't understand how, as a black man, he wouldn't understand that if you brought back slavery, you're not part of the club, dude. You don't get to be the owner. It's not how that's gonna work. It doesn't matter. Because once you allow that to happen, all those rich white people that you think are your friends are gonna. Anyway. Anyway, so he's a big dum dum. He was also found to be on the Ashley Madison list. There was also some other conservative um, journalist that was found on the Ashley Madison list. Um, so that's a big mess. And I don't know if I hope that means that the governorship turns over in North Carolina, and I hope that has an effect both up and down the ticket for uh, in favor of Democrats in North Carolina. It would nice to see that that state shift. There's been a huge change of demographics in North Carolina, sort of all around the country, and it feels like now it's sort of the Great Migration through COVID has sort of settled, and this is going to be the first real test of what that means electorally. I think 2022 was kind of a precursor, but now it feels like there isn't so much moving around from the pandemic or ambiguity like there was remaining in 2022 for the midterms. But the next story that we covered on the View was Kamala Harris's town hall with Oprah last night, um, which they brought out uh, people with horrific stories about gun violence, about abortion, about a lack of abortion care. That was really tough, and um, I'm not entirely sure that uh, that came out great for Harris. There was a lot of enthusiasm. There were a lot of celebrities. I'm not sure that she answered all of the questions in a way that I probably would have liked her to kind of button up a little more and talk. If you watch the debate or you watch the DNC, you've heard all these talking points already. I know people need to hear things over and over again. They need repetition. I prefer to I would like new information. I don't want to hear the same thing multiple times. Um, but uh, so it would be nice if there was a little more, you know, and then some that was coming out of these answers. But I don't think that town hall was for me anyway. Um, but the one thing that she did say that I think is sort of the viral moment from that interview was when Oprah was surprised that she was a gun owner, and Kamala Harris said, "You break into my house, you're gonna get shot." And then she laughed like that, and then she said, "I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that." And then she laughed, and then she said, "My staff will deal with that later," because it probably, it probably comes out a little too flippant, in for I think what she um I think she meant to say. She was trying to convey what she meant to say, but it might. I get where she's like, this could be a PR problem, but it's not. Like, I think actually that's kind of helpful for the Second Amendment, sort of NRA crowd that may be on the fence about other things, that are worried that she's going to take her guns. She very specifically said, people think about this as, I want all my guns, and I honor the Second Amendment, or they're going to take all my guns away. And she's like, there isn't no binary choice. And she, went through the, background checks and getting rid of assault weapons. And um, she's like, I'm not interested in taking away everybody's guns. That's not the point. And so that, I thought that was really good. And the funny thing is, the Trump campaign is using that clip and trying to mock her for it. And they're actually, sort of putting it on their social media. And it's like, I think you're doing her job for her. You're reaching your people with a message they probably want to hear. Um, so that's pretty interesting to me. Um, how bumbling this whole thing is going. And then they did this thing on Melania Trump, which I don't give a flying fuck. But I do have to just say, she was defending her nude photography. um I don't care, like, and naked body, I don't, do whatever you want, you know like Tim Walz says, mind your own damn business. It's fine, I don't care about her modeling career. But the hypocrisy of it, and it was brought up, I think, by Joy, when the Republicans went nuts and the conservative media went crazy when Michelle Obama had the audacity to go sleeveless. Oh, that is so unbecoming of a first lady. Oh, and then Melania comes along and they're like, oh, it's art. Now it's fine. And Amy Alyssa Farfar Griffin was like, how you don't, you can't, I don't think slut shaming is the right thing to do. And everybody kept saying, no, we're just calling out the hypocrisy. Because, but isn't it hypocritical to use that same argument to call it the hypocrisy? It was like, nobody was trying to slut shame her. Nobody on that panel was trying to say, you're an awful person for doing this. It's Sunny a little bit. She's like, it's not Sunny's taste, clearly. Um, but uh, she wouldn't let it go. She just kept talking over people about um, about slut shaming. It was like, you're not getting the point. You're missing the entire point. What we're mad about is the hypocrisy. And thank God, Anna Navarro is just like, I'm just going to keep talking, and she just kept going. She's like, talked over, went through it, and kind of shut her down, because that was ridiculous. And it was it was so Republican and annoying that I'm just going to keep repeating the same question and interrupting, even though the question's been answered. She's that's not. It's just not helpful. Um, yeah. And then the other thing that was not discussed in on the View today is that um, so RFK Jr. is under a federal investigation for having beheaded a whale that he found washed up on a beach in Massachusetts, and then transferring that whale head to his home in New York. So the whale head crossed state lines, and he wasn't supposed to steal the whale head. He wasn't supposed to take the whale head home at all. He wanted to apparently do some research on it. And one of his kids has described that they bungee corded the whale head to the top of the car, and talking about all the whale juice that was just sort of like coming through the windows and flying on the side of the car. And like, could you imagine driving behind that? Anyway, um, that's so he's in trouble for that. And then it was discovered that Olivia Newsy, who is the White House correspondent and political correspondent for New York Magazine, had an affair with RFK Jr. while she was doing a profile of him, and was part of the Biden pool. Now she's one of those asshole journalists who would, do hit pieces like, um, you know, Trump gets indicted. Why this is bad for Biden, and like I'm sure she didn't write that one, but she may have written a version of it. But one of all that kind of everything about Biden is bad, and this is why, and here's why we need to give RFK Jr. a better shot. Maybe we should be not so hard on Trump, and so she was definitely right wing leaning. And it turns out that she was having this affair. He was, of course, married. So I'm sure his wife, Cheryl Hines, who I find to be a dum dum, um, is just going to be thrilled to know that the feds want to know about the whale head and that he was fucking some journalist who's 40 years younger than he is. Um, and she was engaged, or at least dating, then became engaged to, I don't know the timeline exactly, CNN journalist Ryan Liz Lazzy Liza. They both have two Z's in their names. It's I don't I it's hard. I don't remember. Um, but yeah, so she's been suspended from her job, and again, that just calls into question all of the journalistic integrity of all the things that she's done since prior to this. Um, but I it's like you can't write it. It just gets weirder and weirder. And I honestly I love watching them fall apart. I know this is some sort of weird Schadenfreude, and I shouldn't feel so joyful about it. But and I know that most of this doesn't even matter to the electorate. Anyway, they want to clutch their pearls about um, you know Tim Walz may have um, overstepped in his conversation about his military service, or described their fertility um, procedure as IVF, but it was really I something else that was similar. Um, but you know, all of this circus bullshit. Apparently, people just I guess doesn't move the needle for people. I don't know. But like if it's going to be chaos, at least let it be their chaos, and let them spin out of control. Let's try to, as long as we can try to stay on message, and there are still things that are positive about the election and the candidates and the issues and their stances and their records. Like, let's just, if we can keep our side of things buttoned up. Voting starts, I think, today or next week. I think in a few states, early voting starts this weekend. It's very soon. So ballots are starting to get cast. There is a little concern about the mail-in voting. I don't trust Louis DeJoy. I would hope that anybody who can votes in person. Um, I love mail-in voting. Well, he's in charge. I do not trust the post office. I'm sorry. I think that they're um, one of the best institutions. To think that for the little amount of money that you pay, that something that you put in your little box from wherever you are gets somewhere across the country in like 2 days. That is pretty freaking amazing. Um, I love the post office. I just don't trust him. Um, so, uh, yeah, did I miss anything? I think there's some other stuff going on, but I think those are the big points. Yeah, Donald Trump's campaign advisor caught in an affair with a journalist 40 years younger than he is. That's a fun one. Um, and who knows what'll happen over the weekend? Last weekend was crazy enough. So, see ya.